Well, hey guys. So I found a 2000 series tiller, and I was looking for the hydraulic one, but ended up settling for the direct drive mechanical gear and chain setup one. It's a little clunky, but it was the right price and it was the right location, and I just got it home. And I wanted to do a quick walkthrough. So this model here is the 190-304. So this is the number 304 tiller. This is the first tiller that they put out for the 2000 series. And then for some reason, maybe they decided it was junk and they didn't like it. Or maybe for other reasons, they decided to upgrade to the hydraulic tiller that they use on the 3000 series. So this is the original tiller produced for the 2000 series Cubs. This is the gear drive tiller. This is a lot like the setup in the original Cub Cadets that they had, with the exception of this whole stuff back here. Like all this is different back here. You can see everything for the mounting is offset to one side. And this one in particular, the reason it was so cheap was because it's missing the actuator, the linear actuator. So that's a high torque, relatively high speed, I assume, actuator that's supposed to lift right here between the tractor frame and the tiller. So I talked to the seller about it and I said, hey, you know, it's missing one of the most expensive components. And they came down on the price very reasonably, and so it was had for, you know, way cheaper than it should have been. Otherwise, it's very complete. It's missing, in addition to the lift actuator, it's missing a spring right here. There should be a tension spring, if I understand this correctly. There should be a tension spring. I looked at the manual that goes between here and here. That keeps tension in this direction on the belt. But it did come with a belt, and the spring, maybe we'll figure that out, do something with it. One of the reasons I thought, in addition to it being less expensive, that it was a good deal is that it's pretty clean. Like, if you're familiar with any of the Cub Cadet paint from the early 90s on, you'll know that they didn't powder coat, or they did not primer or prep any of the material. So you see this flaking in general on the tines. That flaking is actually pretty common on just about any surface the Cub Cadet painted from the 90s on, because they just did not prep any of the surfaces. One of the bean counters decided it was just not worth the money, so they just threw a coat of paint on it and just let it go. But anyway, if you look at the tines, there's really not a lot of wear. I mean, that flaking that's on the paint there is pretty common and natural over time. So I would call this a low hours unit. I didn't see a lot of wear in here. It is obviously set outside, but it turns free. And aside from, I think this rod is bent right here. Every picture I've ever seen of these things looks like that rod is bent. And I'm thinking it's just the way they lay on the ground when they get stored, and they just get bent like that because there's no support between this arm and this arm. There's no brace between those two, except that rod and then one above it. You know, but otherwise, this is a Model 304 tiller for a 2000 series. Quite rare. You don't find a lot of these anymore, and I think we're going to find less of them as we go on. So I picked it up. Let's mount it. belts are still in the correct orientation. So you can tell if the belt is routed incorrectly, because the first thing that will happen is as it makes a 90-degree turn and comes vertical down to horizontal, as it makes this bend right here, it'll flip a belt. This is like the most common area for it to flip a belt. So you can come over here and take a look, and if this flat side is still facing on both pulleys, and the belt is still at least in one twist of a dimension in the right orientation. On the tiller, it actually flips twice and flips again back here and turns into a flat on this idler and stays a V right here. But I think we're correct. So. Alright, now that we got the funky belt routing kind of correct, I've tested it. I'm missing this spring here. This is just a deck spring that I threw on there, but it doesn't really tighten the belt the way I think it should. And I think the orientation of these pulleys here is not right, because if you look down here, this pulley is barely touching this belt. Like, this one here is barely touching it. This tensioner back face pulley is doing great. And this one barely touching it. And the more I tension it, the further away it gets. But it is basically functional right now. There's a little clacking going on back in here. And I don't have the electric lift actuator, so what I got, pipe wrench, cheater bar. So, we're gonna go give it a shot, I think. Let's see what it does. All right, here we go. See what happens. cheater bar. Well, I'm calling it a cheater bar. Pry bar, a little extra leverage, zip ties. Since this spring was missing, I put a deck spring on it, and it's just not enough tension to hold tension on the belt, so the belt popped off. So we got belt issues, I know that. For now, I'm just going to zip tie the belt with some tension so it slips less. It's slipping really bad right now, I can smell it. So just to get a couple runs in and check everything out, I'm just going to zip tie the belt tensioner where it needs to be. I think where it needs to be is a lot tighter than it already is, so something like that. The problem that I'm running into is that the alignment of these pulleys is so jacked. It's really a messed up system. So the more I tension the pulley, the more this one moves back. And the more that one moves back at that angle, the closer it gets to actually hitting this pulley right here. So, I mean, I can't go much further than that because this bolt is going to hit that pulley. I don't think this is... Something's not right about this. I don't know what yet. But something's just not right about it. So something about that geometry just does not look right to me. But, yeah, it should, you know, get it a little better. And, yeah, so, and then, got a little extra leverage here. Oh, yeah. That should help a little bit. It does do a good job tilling, though. I'll give you that. It did a great job tilling. Let's try it again. Well, it worked. Kind of. I didn't like it. It actually did do a pretty good job tilling. It ain't bad. Boy, at that leverage point, you can get a long bar. So that's, yeah, I'm gonna do something about that. That ain't gonna work. And then this guy down in here, this is all kinds of jacked up. Like, I know that's the general configuration. Like, it's supposed to swap directions and be a flat going to a V, going down to a V and then back up. But something about the orientation of these is just not right. Because once I get the belt tension, that bolt is just, I could actually hear it grinding on that pulley right there. But I mean, it does the thing like that. That's good. That's good too. All right. There you go. What a turd. What a turd. All right. That's it. We'll see you.